Hey guys, it's Daniel, licensed therapist. So there's a debate whether Michael Jordan is the greatest or not. I'm kidding. Michael Jordan is obviously considered the greatest basketball player ever. And when you have someone like that has achieved something so amazing, I think it's fascinating to look into the mindset of what got him there. So let's examine Michael Jordan today and react to some clips about his life and see if we can't find what's going on. So let's pop open the hood and take a look. And we have to start off where we always start off, in his childhood.
Jordan's childhood was a very influential period on his life, and his parents played an important role in it. My heroes are and were my parents. I can't see having anyone else as my heroes, Jordan later said. Michael Jeffrey Jordan was born on February 17th on 1963 in Brooklyn, New York. He was the fourth of 5 children in his family, with 2 older brothers, 1 older sister, and a younger one. His mother, Dolores, was a cashier at a bank. His father, James, was an equipment supervisor who had served in the U.S. Air Force. Later, the family moved to North Carolina. Having a large family, their parents had strict discipline in terms of child's homework and taught them the importance of work. Jordan's father inspired his children to love sports and built a small basketball court for them to practice. His mother was also an important figure for young Michael. Once little Mike got into little trouble at school and was expelled for a day. Dolores took him to work and made him sit in the car and study. That way, his mother could watch him from the window of her workplace. Generally speaking, in his family, Michael was known to be the most mischievous of all of his brothers, being manipulative and often persuading someone else to do the chores for him.
So far a pretty unremarkable childhood. He had some really good parents that was really great, but so far nothing that indicates the greatest basketball player of all time. He did have a really big family. He had 3 older siblings and 1 younger sibling, and I think that indicates to me that there's just a lot of people there. And there might be a chance that he didn't get enough attention because being one of 5 kids, it's just difficult as parents to give everyone a good amount of attention. Hey, people do it. There's great parents out there, but I'm just saying there might be a chance that happened with him. And I think a clue that might confirm that that's the case was that he was just a mischievous kid. So maybe there's some negative attention-seeking behaviors. But overall, I look at the family life from this little snapshot and I say, it looks pretty good. You have 2 good parents, and 2 good parents is such a huge advantage. They can set such a good foundation for a young person, which probably is one of the things that is a strength for Michael in his mentality, is his parents that were there giving him the guidance that he needed. But once again, so far nothing too remarkable. Let's see if we can't find some more clues as to what made him the greatest. Let's continue.
I wanted these do-it-yourselfers around the house. So I could take Larry out, and he was fascinated by fixing things with his hand, took a lot of pride in it. And Michael would be out, and you'd say, give me a Phillips screwdriver, he might give you a pair of pliers, And I guess I was a little short-paced with him. I'd say, get back in the house with your mom. Boy, you're never gonna be anything. Just go back with your mom.
When you're going through it, it's traumatic, because I want that, I want that approval. I want that type of confidence. So my determination got even greater to be as good, if not better, than my brother.
Okay, now this is getting interesting. He had a real lack of attention from his dad, which really confirms what we were talking about previously. And so I want you to imagine being a kid and wanting and craving attention so much to the point where as an adult, you call it traumatic. He said that it was traumatic. And you know what traumatic means to me? Really, really intense pain. So that doesn't just say, hey, I didn't get enough attention as a kid. This is telling me I didn't get enough attention to the point where it hurt me a lot. And it's not just that he didn't get enough attention from his dad. He was almost invisible to his dad. And all the attention that he wanted was focused on his older brother, Larry. And Larry and Michael used to play basketball one-on-one all the time. And it's really famous that Larry would have been a great basketball player, but he ended up being 5'8". But watch footage of Larry playing. He looks just like a miniature Michael Jordan. It's really crazy. So can you imagine Michael as a young kid not getting enough attention from his dad, and then the person that is getting all the attention that he wants and needed is kicking his butt over and over every day at basketball? That must have been really, really difficult for him. And I feel like it really sets the stage of what's going on with Michael and what's really driving him. But let's go on and see if we can't find out more.
Jordan attended Emsley A. Laney High School in Willington, where he anchored his athletic career by playing baseball, football, and basketball. He tried out for the varsity basketball team, but during his sophomore year, he was only 5'11". He was deemed too short to play at that level. Motivated to prove his worth, Jordan became the star of Laney's junior varsity squad and tallied several 40-point games. The following summer, he actually grew 4 inches and trained rigorously. Upon earning a spot on the varsity roster, Jordan averaged about 20 points per game over his final 2 seasons of high school play.
So here we have that defining moment, Michael Jordan trying out for varsity basketball as a sophomore and not making the team. Boo-hoo! I mean, is that some kind of crazy thing? Is that the thing that's going to be so pivotal in a person's life? I think everyone looks at that and says, I don't think that's a really big deal. That's how I look at it. But it was so impactful for him. And I found this clip by Tony Robbins, and he's talking about how he met Michael Jordan. And I thought it tells us a lot about that incident and how it affects him.
Michael Jordan, I remember I interviewed him years ago. And I said, what makes you the best in the world? Is it skill? Is it talent? Is it ability? Is it background? Is it training? And he was so awesome. He said, Tony, I can tell you the truth and it won't sound like hyperbole or false modesty. He said, I didn't even make the high school basketball team my sophomore year. I was cut. He said, what it is every day I demand more from myself than anybody else could possibly expect. I don't compete with other people. I compete with what I'm capable of.
Like I said, I think that tells us so much. This defined him as an adult. This thing that happened back when he was a teenager. And it's something that drove him in his career as a basketball player. And I believe it's something that drives him to this very day. After watching a lot of these Michael Jordan interviews and documentaries, one thing becomes very, very clear. This guy has a huge chip on his shoulder. He's known to be a very, very competitive person. If you've watched the Last Dance documentary, you see him throwing quarters at a wall with the security guard, trying to beat the security guard for money. It's kind of ridiculous, but it's a behavior that he's exhibiting. And I believe this behavior goes all the way back to when he's dismissed by his father. When his father says, go back in the house. I don't want you. I want Larry. And there's a part of him that was traumatized by that and has a very negative self-perception and self-identity because of that. Part of him thinks that he can't do it. He's worthless. He has no value. And that's why he's being so easily dismissed. And that is one of the most painful messages a person can have. And to avoid that pain, he has to go through these extreme lengths. And that's what traumatized people do. They experience this very extreme pain and they go through extreme lengths to avoid that pain. And their whole life becomes about avoiding that pain. And so what Michael Jordan is operating out of is what we call negative reinforcement. And this goes back to Psych 101 behavior theory. So the behaviors have 2 theories. One is classical conditioning, one's operant conditioning. Classical conditioning is Pavlov's dog. It's when you have a stimulus and it causes an automatic reaction in the body. And operant conditioning is what we're going to focus on, is the stimulus comes after the behavior, which makes our behavior go up and down. And so operant conditioning is broken down into 2 parts, which is punishment and reinforcement. And punishment makes a behavior go down and reinforcement makes a behavior go up. And that's what we're going to focus on because we see this extreme behavior in Michael and it has gone up way past what is normal. And within reinforcement and punishment, there is positive and negative. And positive reinforcement is simply a reward. You get rewarded for doing something. And so it's like a rat in a cage and there's a bar. And if he pushes the bar, a piece of food comes out. And so he's going to push the bar even more. And I feel like we all know and understand that. And it's a pretty simple concept. But what is negative reinforcement? It's something that you take away that makes a behavior go up. So if we're a rat in the cage, what can you take away to make you push that bar? It's like as if that cage was electrified and you're being shocked constantly. And if you push the bar, that shock goes away. And so every time you push the bar, there's no shock. So you will push the bar over and over so that you don't get shocked. And that's what negative reinforcement is. And that's what Michael is doing. He's doing this behavior so that he can suppress that feeling or that belief that he's worthless, that he's no good, maybe he's a loser and that he can't do it. And he has to prove it to himself over and over. And so that's my theory about Michael. And I don't want to say that this is the only thing driving him. People are so complicated and there's so many things going on, but I do feel like it is very central to his psyche. But I feel like there's a big takeaway from this because a lot of people look at Michael and say, wow, he's the greatest. He performed at the highest level. He beat every single person. And I want to do that. So I know a lot of you are saying, Daniel, I'm going to use negative reinforcement. I'm going to achieve greatness as well. And I know a lot of you are saying, you know what? Negative reinforcement caused Michael to have the title of greatest ever. He has more fame and accolades that he could ever want. He has more money than he can ever spend. He has all the women he could ever want. Sign me up for that. But wait, let me caution you, because you know what? Michael Jordan's mindset comes with a cost.
Did you do it?
Yes.
What did it cost?
Everything.
And I always thought that, but it was confirmed when I saw this clip.
Does Jordan have any friends like...
You want to be Jordan, but you don't want to be old Jordan. The guy don't look happy. I mean, his bloodshot eyes all the time. He's fucking just like, man, that don't
There's
seem
a
like...
cost.
Yes.
There's a cost of greatness.
And I agree with these guys. I look at Michael, and to me, he doesn't look like a happy person. He looks kind of miserable to me. And look at his personal life, his failed marriage. Look at his friendships. People say that he has no friends. Look at his teammates. Scottie Pippen, his running mate, his best teammate ever, doesn't talk to him. Charles Barkley, his teammate on the Olympic team, which was his best friend, they no longer talk either. I'm not saying that his competitiveness is what drove these people away and caused the destruction of these relationships. But what I'm saying is, there was a cost, and I believe that him being wrapped up in the negativity really brought him down. Because if you think about it, someone who is using negative reinforcement, their whole thing is based on negativity. It's based on a pain. It's the electrified fence, and we need to keep that away. And if you're always constantly worried about the electrified fence, then you're in some mental anguish. You're in some serious anxiety and maybe even fear. But if we're thinking about positive reinforcements, we're looking at good things, we're looking at striving to achieve because it's a plus. That is a much better way to operate. And to compare and contrast Michael Jordan with someone, I look at Kobe Bryant. I believe Kobe was just as competitive as Michael. In fact, Kobe has his own mentality named after him because of his competitiveness, the Mamba mentality. But was Kobe a negative reinforcement person? I don't think so. I think he was a positive reinforcement person. He was the one that was striving to achieve, looking for the goal because it felt good, and he had a passion for basketball and success. And I feel like if you look at him after he retired, it translated really well. I feel like he had good relationships. He made up with Shaq. He made some good investments. He was doing his film thing and won an Oscar. And he seemed like he had a good family life. And he seemed happy, which is a very big contrast to Michael. So what's the takeaway from this, guys? We need to examine how we're motivated. Are we operating out of negative reinforcement? Are we constantly being stressed and worried? Is there a fear, anxiety, or pain that we're trying to keep away, and that's why we're doing what we're doing? If that's the case, things are going to take a toll on you. You're going to lose sleep. You're going to be, like I said, constantly worried. Your mental health is going to take a hit. You're probably going to age more. Your physical health is probably going to take a toll. Let's examine that, and let's see if we can't analyze that and make a switch into positive reinforcement, because I believe it's so much better. You can operate out of passion, out of achievement, out of rewarding yourself, out of feeling good for yourself. And that's what I want for everyone, to feel good about themselves and to achieve as much as they can. And I believe you can achieve just as much, maybe even more, utilizing positive reinforcement. So think about it, guys. Let's do a little analysis on ourselves and see if we can't live a better life. And that's it. That was great reacting to Michael Jordan. I feel like it was very fascinating for me. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have anything you want me to react to, leave it in the comments down there. Thanks for watching, you amazing person. I'll see you next time.